I'm Mckell. I'm a general surgery resident at Penn State. I'd like to thank SAGES for the opportunity to present here today. All right, listed here are disclosures. Right. So Mesh-Suture is a suture material that recently gained FDA approval in 2022. It's composed of a macroporous polypropylene mesh, and it's designed such that the mesh material flattens out when it comes in contact with the tissue interface. This has multiple proposed benefits in that it allows better distribution of tensile forces compared to regular suture material, but it involves less implantable material compared to traditional planar mesh, theoretically reducing the risk of infectious and additional complications. Multiple preclinical studies have demonstrated that it has improved force distribution, improved resistance to suture pull-through, and greater fibrovascular ingrowth compared to regular suture, all of which strengthen the repair. And while there hasn't been a lot of clinical studies examining outcomes in this yet, the few clinical studies that have looked at short-term outcomes have all had promising outcomes in regards to SSO, SSI, and recurrence rates. They included both patients that had ventral hernias as well as primary dysphacial closures. But when they looked at differences between those with just primary closures, they found no difference in complication rates, but they didn't further subclassify ventral hernia types. So because of this, we wanted to evaluate the short-term effectiveness of mesh suture use at our institution for the management of ventral hernias. Our primary outcomes were recurrence rates and overall time to recurrence, and our secondary outcomes included additional complication rates, including SSOs, SSIs, those requiring procedural intervention, readmission, and reoperation. So this was a retrospective review of our institutional surgeon case logs from May 2023 to February 2024. May 2023 represented when mesh suture first became available at our institution for surgical use. We included patients, adults over the age of 18 that had a known hernia diagnosis and for which mesh suture was used for the hernia repair. There were 8 surgeons in total at our institution that used this, 6 of which were in our minimally invasive surgery department, 2 of which were acute care surgeons, and a total of 63 patients were included. So the use of mesh suture and the technique for repair was based on individual surgeon discretion. We did go through the charts to kind of subclassify reasons why our surgeons were choosing mesh suture for hernia repair, and there were 3 overall main types. The first was patients with peristomal hernia repairs who were based on hernia and patient characteristics would have only been a candidate for a primary repair at the time of surgery. For primary hernias, for small defects that would have been candidates for primary repairs, or for those where mesh could have been placed, but due to either patient preference against mesh or additional comorbidities and patient factors, mesh was selected against. And then those with large incisional hernias who were also undergoing a concomitant procedure who wouldn't have been a candidate for a large mesh-based repair at that time. And then we wanted to look at just kind of our overall patient hernia and operative characteristics and overall outcomes with this. And then we also looked at postoperative outcomes across all hernia types. So this is just kind of a basic patient demographic information. The average age of our patients was around 61 years of age with a slight female predominance of around 60%. Average BMI was around 31, and then comorbidities are listed below. Only about 14% of our patients had diabetes. It was well controlled with an average A1C of around 6.3, and then the majority of the patients that we collected data on were either never smokers or remote smokers. And then in regards to hernia characteristics, it was pretty evenly split between peristomal, primary umbilical hernias, and then incisional hernias with a slight predominance towards peristomal hernias. And then of these, around 13% represented recurrent hernias. Only 3 were incarcerated and required an urgent or emergent surgery. All others were elective, and then the vast majority were either class 1 or class 2 wound classes, but we did have a few class 3 and class 4. And then around half of the patients underwent a concomitant procedure at the time of mesh suture placement. Of those, the most common was a colorectal procedure. And then in regards to operative technique, size 1 mesh suture was the most commonly used, and an interrupted figure of 8 technique was the most commonly used technique employed. And then regards to just overall postoperative outcomes for these patients, our average follow-up was around 45 days. Overall surgical site infections were around 6.3, surgical site occurrences were around 16%, and then those that required procedural interventions were around 8%. Only 3 patients had recurrences in total, all of which were after 30 days, with an average time to recurrence of around 75 days. And then 4 patients required reoperation. 1 of those was for recurrence, and then the other 3 were related to stoma-related complications that were not related to the hernia itself. And then finally, when we broke down the hernia by hernia type, there was no significant difference in postoperative complications, including SSI, SSO, and SSOI-PI. While not statistically significant, it's interesting to note that almost all of the patients who required procedural intervention, and then all of the patients with a bowel obstruction, ileus, recurrence, and reoperation were in the peristomal hernia group. So our short-term outcomes are comparable to the prior studies looking at short-term outcomes regarding mesh suture use. In regards to the peristomal hernias, these represented 25 and 55% of all of our SSOs and SSI and SSOs respectively, and about 75% of those that required procedural intervention. They additionally represented all of the recurrences in our study, which represented about 14 and 18% of recurrences and reoperations within the peristomal hernia group. I think this highlights the complexity and the challenge of managing peristomal hernias, but these outcomes are comparable to complication rates of other techniques used for peristomal hernia repairs. So while we only have short-term data, mesh suture could represent an additional technique that could be utilized. And then additionally, half of these cases were with a concomitant procedure. So we demonstrate promising short-term outcomes for mesh suture use in ventral hernia repair, especially as an alternative when planar mesh is not ideal. And then obviously, mesh suture use was based on surgeon discretion, so there's biases based on which patients were selected for this, and then longer-term follow-up duration is needed, and further prospective comparisons. That's all I have, and I'm happy to take any questions.